Hello, everyone. It's Olga Zarr from SEO Sly. So this is SEO podcast by SEO Sly. I am very happy because today I have a very, very special guest. This is Dixon Jones from Inlinks. Hi, Dixon. How are you doing?
Hi, Olga. I'm very, very well. Thanks very much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I am so excited about this episode because I know you are going to share so many great things. Okay, Dix.
Yeah, I hope they're great. I hope it depends on who listens to them, but I think it's. I've been in the industry a long time, and I think I'm on. I've done some bad SEO in my life, but I think
Oh,
we're doing some good SEO
so
now.
I know what question, what my next question would be. But before I ask you,
Yeah,
yeah.
go on.
But before I ask you about that, can you briefly introduce yourself if there is still
Sure.
someone who doesn't know, but I doubt there is such a person. But just
No,
in
no, no,
case.
no, no. There's plenty. Hi, I'm Dixon Jones. I've been doing SEO since about 1998, 99, that sort of number. Well, actually, I started using front page 95, but I could never get it to work. It was on discs and I couldn't get the thing to work. So I guess I started doing SEO when I got front page 97 working, I think. I ran an agency for a decade, and then I was marketing director of Majestic and ran that for a decade. I'm still an ambassador there as well. But about 4 years ago, I set up Inlinks with a French SEO who approached me, who had made this incredible piece of technology and had no idea how to sell it. So between the two of us, we kind of make quite a good team. So Inlinks has been going for the last, I suppose we've been live for about 3 years, and it's kind of developing into a little bit of a iconic tool, really. It's good.
Oh, it's a shame I haven't played with it yet, but
That's
this is
okay.
on my to-do list.
That's okay. You're going to have a
it.
pretty good briefing of it today.
Yeah, that's why I have you here.
So, well,
But
the reason it's different though is because up until Google took over Freebase, the knowledge graph system, or MetaWeb, they were really understanding content in terms of n-grams, or the sort of words and what words are next to each other and stuff. And they started about 5 or 6, 7 years ago, really 8 years, so at least, to start thinking about the world's information, not in terms of words, but in terms of entities and ideas, and putting everything into knowledge graphs. But of course, all the SEO tools that were out there at the time hadn't been built with that in mind. So Inlinks is really the very first tool that was built, SEO tool that was built from the ground up around this concept of doing SEO around entities and stuff. So it's kind of different from the ground up. And hopefully we'll go into some of that. And then in order to learn what the heck I was doing, I ended up having to write a book called Entity SEO to try and understand a process for doing SEO around entities and semantics, rather than doing it around the old sort of style of keywords and meta descriptions and these kind of ideas. So I ended up writing a book which was originally written for myself, really, and a lot of it is all on the blog as well, so you don't have to pay for the book. It's on Amazon if you want it, but you can also get most of it through the Inlinks blog as well. It's quite a lot to read over the blog, though.
Yeah, so I'm going to buy the book as soon as we finish recording. That's definitely, because Entity SEO
Olga,
is something. Yeah.
for you, I will send you a copy. I will send you a
Oh,
copy after this.
that's
Yeah,
awesome. Because yes, Entity SEO is something that I know something about, but I have always been too busy to like dive very deep. And this is my goal for 2023, to really understand it the way I should be understanding it as an SEO. But
excellent.
before we dive
There
into
you go.
that,
Here's the book then,
oh,
and I'll send that through
oh,
after the
yeah, please, I will start reading it today, tonight.
Cool. Right.
But before I start asking you about Entity SEO and Inlinks, tell me what bad SEO have you been doing?
Oh no, no, no. I mean, I just some things you try over the course of 22, 23 years,
Uh-huh.
just doesn't really work. I've never been one to go out there and do things that were, illegal or yeah, especially underhand. But I have done some SEO ideas that just don't work really. So I
Uh-huh.
think, yeah, but some do. I mean, underhand wise, I remember it wouldn't work now. Nothing, nothing will work now. But I remember my very first pitch for doing SEO consultancy was a company called Fig Leaves, and they were an underwear company, and I'm certainly not an expert in underwear, but went along and did the pitch and told them, about how I was approaching SEO, and this was in, I think, 1999, and they kind of got it. They did get it, and I thought I did a really good presentation. I thought I explained myself really well, and I thought I was going to get the business, and I thought that would be, the start of my my internet marketing career, and so I went away for Christmas about this time of year, thinking I was going to get the job. And in January, I got a reply saying that Spannerworks, which was a Brighton-based consultancy, had got the business,
Uh-huh.
and so I was really annoyed, and I'm very naive as well. So what I did, there was a Overture was called GoTo back then, so it was before it was even called Overture, and now and it was a pay-per-click search engine basically,
Uh-huh.
and the biggest ISP in the UK was called FreeServe, and they just bought embedded GoTo results onto their FreeServe, search engine. So I bought women'sunderwear.net. I then did 100% frame, because iframes didn't work then, onto the Fig Leaves website,
Okay.
and optimized it for the phrase. Well, just basically paid 1 penny or 5 pennies per click for the phrase women's underwear, to put it on to FreeServe. So when you typed in women's underwear or on FreeServe, which was, a lot of people were using, up
Mm-hmm.
the Fig Leaves website with women's underwear as the URL. And so when they told me I hadn't got the business, I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I've done this for you. What is this consultancy that you've agency that you've done for you so far?" And showed them the sort of number one result on FreeServe. And to their credit, they said, "That's very interesting. Have you heard of affiliate marketing?" And so I became
Oh.
one of Fig Leaves' best affiliates for women's underwear for about
Oh.
5 years, and just took the commission on the top. So that worked out pretty well, really. So yeah. So and then I forgot to rebuy the domain name women'sunderwear.net, and that one went the way of the dodo. So that's that, really. So that's kind of the sort of thing that I do. That
Okay.
wasn't my finest hour, but not my worst hour either. So,
Yeah, it's not that bad after all. Like happy ending.
yeah, I'm not that bad a person, really.
I wouldn't say you are. Okay, so tell me about, because I guess entity SEO is your like main focus, your main specialization right now.
It is now. I mean, I think we I mean, Majestic was all about backlinks, but I think Inlinks is it does two or three things. I mean, it does internal linking, so it'll automatically interlink all of your website pages around ideas. It'll also
Oh.
inject schema into the web pages as well. So and then also it helps you to optimize the content. But the way that it does it around entities is that it takes the idea that Google is reading your web page, or a search engine that's kind of entity based is reading your web page and turning it into a bunch of database lookups, really. So it's sitting there and saying, right, this web page is about this object and this object and this idea and this
Uh-huh.
idea, and each of those ideas has an entity in a search engine. So now the web page is not about all these words on the page; it's about all of these ideas in this order, really. So if it's about, you know, Mustang and cars and petrol, then that's a completely different meaning than if it's about Mustang and horses and, you know, America. So the interconnection between those entities really helps a search engine to narrowly understand the difference between Mustang in the context of a horse and Mustang in the context of a car. So so understanding that is the first element of what Inlinks is trying to do. So it has its own natural language processing algorithm. So you can go to Google. Google has a natural language processing a demo that you can use. You can put a page of content in there and it will show you all of the entities that are in there, or the entities that it reports. But it's not very good at reporting the entities. It'll show you a bunch. It shows you lots of keywords, but the actual entities are the ones with the Wikipedia links in there. And it's very good at seeing places and countries and brands and those kind of things, but it's very bad at reporting things like walking or horses or cars or you know, concepts, which are obviously still entities, but it doesn't report those in its own tool. Other ones that are out there are IBM Watson, and we've tested ours against IBM Watson as well. And also TextRaiser, which is a pretty good French tool that does the same sort of thing and brings that out. But we focus on making sure that we read the content and try and extract as many entities as possible, because what we're trying to do is help the SEO see how many entities are on the page. They have to, of course, you know, with a human in the loop, try and ascertain which ones are most important, although the tool will give them, you know, a preference. We think that this is important, but they can then amend their content, for example, to try and emphasize the most important entities on that page. So so the tool number one is this natural language processing algorithm that we have. And over tests, we've been running it, and Google typically only sees about 20% of the entities on a page that we do, or reports 20% of the entities. So there's a lot of scope there for SEOs to try and make things much clearer for a search engine. It's not to say that Google will necessarily ever report that this page is about walking, but in its NLP API. But we do, every time we do our own NLP API, we also run Google's alongside it so that we can show the difference and see where the gap is. And so that's job number one, is turning a page into the underlying concepts, or seeing the underlying concepts on a page. And with that, we can then do three things. The first is we know the important concepts on the page, so we can automatically generate very specific schema. So it's a content schema. So most of the schema that's out there is about, you know, what is the organization behind this website, or who is the author, or there's also, you know, if this site is about a dentist, what's the dentistry schema, or whatever these things. And okay, we don't do those things, but the thing that we do is we can see the content on the page. So we can do about and mention schema. So we can say, hey, search engine, if you want a machine readable version of this page is about this, this, and this. And in case you don't know what these are, here's a reference that you can look up so you know the definitions of those things. And it also mentions this, this, and this. So we're kind of turning it into a very narrow set of things, of ideas that they can easily reference their own knowledge graph. So Google could easily see the correlation between what we're saying that page is about and what those ideas are in their knowledge graph, so they can see those. It's up to them as to whether they pay attention to that or agree with you, but we've given that kind of ability to give a machine translation, and then the system asks you to put one line of JavaScript on your website, and then it'll inject that straight in. So you don't have to cut and paste it. You can cut and paste it if you don't want a line of JavaScript. That's fine. I would say that there's some pretty big websites out there now that have got, that have gone through the is this secure process, including 2 security-based websites. So that's kind of good. So the data, it doesn't take any user data or anything like that. It just displays the schema, but it also does one other thing. Well, it can also display FAQ schema as well. But injecting it that way makes it a lot easier for SEOs to manage. So you could, for example, put the code in through Google Tag Manager if you don't have the ability to affect a site directly. So it's kind of useful especially for SEOs who don't have day-to-day access of developer access of the website, which is quite a lot of us, I think. When I was running an agency, it was a real pain. You could make all these recommendations and then you couldn't actually implement them because the developer never had time to do your recommendations.
Exactly.
So that at least gives you the ability to add this content schema straight away. But it also has the ability to do the internal linking as well, which is a real headache to do manually. So what you can do is we've already seen what all the pages are about. We before we write any schema at all, the SEO or the Inlinks user has to go and say, hey, right, this is an important page for SEO, because most pages aren't important for SEO. A lot of them, usually it's a few pages or tens or dozens of pages, not thousands. So we don't really want to focus on the ones that are not important. The ones that are not important for SEO are important for adding authority to the pages that are important about SEO. So what we do is we ask the SEO to select from the list of entities that we've seen on the page, say, right, it's about this, or it's about this in the context of that. Or if our system's gone wrong, there are ways to kind of modify it and say, right, okay, it's actually about this. But ideally, we'll have read the page, we'll seen all the topics on the page, and you can just click the one that you really want to focus on for internal linking. And what it'll do then is it already knows the synonyms. So if we use the Mustang example, let's say it's Mustang. I use that because I've got a Mustang car, electric car I got recently, so it's in the top of my mind really.
I know which one.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's absolutely brilliant. So it'll say, okay, but let's work with the horses example. Let's say it's a Mustang in the context of horses. Then it will know that Mustang is that a horse and pony are all synonyms of Mustang in this context, hopefully, and understand that. So it'll be able to go and look around the rest of the website and see where you've talked about the concept of a Mustang, and on those other pages, it'll say, right, on this page over here, you said, right, ponies up in the Colorado mountains or whatever, and it'll say ponies up, and it'll sit there and say, right, that's the anchor text that's relevant in that sentence. Let's link that through to the page about Mustangs, because Mustangs and ponies are the same in this context, and so it'll link through to the Mustang page, and so that will also be injected straight into the web page as well with the JavaScript. So you could do it manually, but that's going to take you a huge amount of time, because potentially you can create thousands of links very, very quickly, and you don't have to go back to the website and put them all in there and stuff. So that means that the internal linking is turning a website from I see it as a website is a tumbleweed of ideas, of stories that are just flowing throughout the website. And instead of it looking like a tumbleweed, it turns it into a sort of a cactus with pointy, it's really obvious where the important elements are on the website through the internal linking and the schema together. So it just lifts the website up and doesn't give you any more power. Ultimately, it hasn't got any external links coming into it, but it's got a lot more focus. So you should be getting better quality visitors, more relevant to the content that's on the page, and highly focused towards the SEO relevant pages. So that's kind of the idea between the internal linking and the schema working together hand in hand, and it works pretty well. We've got some case studies on the website.
Well, tell me about it.
It's just, if you go to inlinks.com/case studies, then there's a bunch in there, which have shown some pretty impressive results. I would say it doesn't work for every website. If you've got a website that is already really well understood by Google, then it's possible that that we don't make a huge dent on that process. Also, if you've got a website that's got technical issues, I can't help your technical debt. That's your own. That's other problem. So it doesn't. It works with some websites better than with others. Also, but also the effectiveness is largely in the hands of the user. The SEO, it really helps if the SEO understands entities reasonably well, and understands that you're not trying to be all things to all people. So, if you try and find related keywords to Mustang, for example, using one of the other sort of keyword volume tools, for example, then you're not going to get it in context. So you're not going to know how many people are typing in Mustang in relation to cars versus how many people are typing in Mustang in relation to horses. But we do know that if you try and optimize a web page for Mustang horses and another page for Mustang cars, you're probably going to sell nothing to nobody, because those cars and ponies are both related to Mustang, but you're not focusing on your business at that point. So a big part of what we've done is trying to get people to develop content based around their business rather than based around just how many people type in a keyword. And that's all to do with context. So that's actually got another big part. This we only launched a couple of last month, I think, sort of a content planning tool. So what we've done with our content planning tool, I can show it to you if
sure.
Well, actually, if you're on podcasts, I promise to try and explain what I'm doing.
Sure.
But for those of you that do see it on a YouTube or whatever, then no, that's my fault. Let me just improve that. Hopefully that's fine. You can see that now.
Yeah.
Okay. So on this top left-hand corner here, I've got content planner. So this is actually Inlinks.net's website. Now we've actually just moved over to Inlinks.com. So this stuff is going to start going out of date pretty quickly, but it's a good chance for me to just sort of show you what's happening on this particular one. So we've got all these web pages in the system, but we've built this content planner. And so what this content planner did is it's read the whole of the website that we put into about Inlinks.net, and it's understood all of the underlying entities or topics. In fact, I'll just go see the topics for the website. So for every website you put in, it'll show you all of the topics and how much you've concentrated on them. So obviously Inlinks is talking about search engine optimization quite a lot, so it's very, very frequent. And so then we can say, right, if we did choose a web page about Inlinks, about SEO, then potentially we could create 276 internal links to that, because we've talked about search engine optimization so much around the website, and so that might be a good thing to set as a target, but which I might come back to, because I haven't set a target for search engine optimization specifically on this website, but if I did, then potentially it would have up to that many internal links created. But what it's also done is it's taken all of these topics that we're already talking about and use that to predict what we need to develop next. So what it's done is it's taken these topics and then we've started to cluster them. So we've got a whole load of content. If we wanted to write things more, we've got a whole load of things around SEO, around semantics, around tools and topics and contents and entities and things. And so if I click into the semantics idea, then it's saying, okay, within semantics, we probably could be writing more content around semantic markup, semantic knowledge, semantic data, semantic understanding. And then it's kind of said, right, well, these are the main keywords that we want to talk about: semantic SEO guides and semantic SEO tools. Corey, who's a SEO, semantic SEO guy, and here's a bunch of questions that we've seen that might be interesting as well. So,
Okay.
best practices, what is semantic SEO, and these kind of things. But we've given them priority, not based on keyword volume, although we do record keyword volumes. So we have, we think that probably 430 people a month type in semantic markup, but within that there's 24 different keywords that you might want to use. But the most important thing here is that we haven't really talked about semantic markup as a concept on any page, as a focus, as in, it's not in the title of the page. Of course, we've talked about it within the site. So we've given that a high priority because it's so relevant to the other topics that we've already talked about, and we haven't talked about it. Further down, though, we think that it might be really important to talk about the semantic web. But we have already talked about that twice, so we've got a couple of pages that are talking about it. So it's high, but it's we've coloured that one in green because we've already mentioned it a couple of times. So now we've got some better ideas of what we want to be talking about than moving forward. So this whole system now has been done based on your existing content, and it's making content planning recommendations not based on how many people type in this number of keywords on the internet, but by analyzing your own website and then analyzing what else we should be talking about that is semantically very close to your existing content but that you haven't covered yet. And then we also have taken this idea of user intent. Google talks about user intent quite a lot. And what happened was that SEOs, I think if you type in user intent onto Google, all of the SEO pages that come back, which are all brands that we've heard of, are talking about user intent in terms of transactional, navigational, commercial, whatever it may be. Information. And we think that that's outmoded. Even the Wikipedia page talks about those kind of 5 ideas, but the definition of user intent is nothing to do with those kind of ideas. User intent is much more specific to the user query. So in this particular case, there's a whole load of different things between people practicing SEO versus developing SEO versus hiring an SEO. So these verbs that people are putting into user queries are also very, very useful in helping to work on user intent. So I don't think that user intent is about whether something is informational or transactional. I think it's about whether they're trying to hire an SEO or whether they're trying to do SEO or whether they're trying to have a SEO audit or whatever it may be. So we've also clustered sort of phrases and ideas around this idea of user intent, so that you can then say, right, within the idea of hiring, I want to talk about SEO companies, and I want to talk about content writing, because these are concepts that are and I wanted to talk about where to hire content writers and things, because these are ideas that are very related to the user intention of hiring. So we've also used this idea of topics to and entities to improve user intent and hopefully improve the content planning of your website.
Wow.
And hopefully it's pretty different to the approach that other people use.
Definitely.
But certainly it's still not a million miles away from the kind of tool the look and feel of of tools that other people have used. So you've got a system here where you can sit there and say, right, you know what, I really do need to talk about semantic SEO, and so I need to talk about that. So I'm going to add that to a content queue, and then we just build up a queue for the things that you've got to be writing about next. So
content queue is okay.
So basically, as you're going, once a human in the loop says yes, I agree with these recommendations by Inlinks, then you literally press a button, and it'll set the queue up. Say, right, we need to create a content brief on on semantic SEO
Uh-huh.
or content strategy management or whatever. So that then goes and says, right, that's what we should go and talk about next. So if I take one of those, let's take one of those and work with it for a little bit. So let's go and say, right, we're going to create a page now around content strategy management,
Uh-huh.
and so let's go and do that. So let's go and create a content brief. So I'll just let this run in the background whilst we're talking. But what it does then is it allows you to analyze a keyword. So I've put in content strategy management, and it's going to write an audit for how to write the perfect content around content strategy management based on entities. So how does it do that? Well, what it does is it uses Google's search API to find the top 10 web pages for the phrase content strategy management. And it can do that by country. It can also do it in English, French, Polish, German, Italian, Dutch, Portuguese, and I apologize for Spanish, and I apologize if I missed any others out. So those languages, and so it'll bring back the top 10 web pages, and then it'll run our natural language processing algorithm and Google's, by the way, on that content to break it into its underlying topics and entities. So now we know what entities are most important or most used when somebody is talking about the concept of content strategy management. So that means that we can then build out this topic plan, which I'll show down here. So in this particular case, there's ideas around web content, content strategy, business, strategic management, and all of these ideas are effectively entities that we kind of want to be talking about, and we categorize those. So we've got that information in a sort of a categorized form, so you can also see it in a sort of graphical form. So we can say, right, if your business is around marketing and advertising, for example, then the things that you want to be talking about with regards to content strategy management are things like content strategy and websites and strategic marketing management and target marketers and stuff. But if you're talking about the economy, for example, and you're talking about content strategy management in regards to the economy, then you probably want to be talking about planning and sales and the end users. And if it's technology, then it'll be different sorts of things like blogs and social media and things. So there is a variation on the kind of content that becomes important to you based on your existing business, and that's all based on the top 10 results that are coming back, and you can analyze what they are. If you don't like the 10 that we've used as our training set, you can swap them out and put other pages in there if you wanted to. So we've then come up with this kind of content plan. Now, whilst I'm talking, in the background, the system is doing some extra keyword research. So what it's doing is it's taking the main topics, and on my browser, it's putting those back into Google Suggest, and it's analyzing what kind of suggestions Google are coming up with as well. So I've got, for example, content strategy. So it'll put content strategy back into Google Suggest and see what questions and ideas and suggestions are coming up, and that will help to develop more keywords and more ideas as well. But in the meantime, it's created this content plan that's saying, right, well, unless a human in the loop changes things, then we think that if you're going to write the ideal page on content strategy management, then probably you want to start with a section on content strategy that talks about business and audiences and management, and it's got a few competitor headlines for ideas as well. Then you want to get into the technical stuff, so you want to start talking about and possibly in there you want to talk about jobs and content strategy, then governance, so something about style guides and these kind of things as well. So there's a bunch of things in here which are not necessarily things that SEOs would jump on, really. But nevertheless, these are things that are coming back that are important in the competitors' in the competitors' results, and so they're things that are highly correlated to content in the top results for the phrase content strategy management. So it's built this content plan out, and you can start using that to start writing your content. But we've also given you an editor to start doing the writing.
That's what I wanted to ask about.
So this editor here is starting in this case, because we've created a brief, it started with a blank page and says start typing your text here. But from your content plan, you could quickly just say, right, I want to add my content strategy section, and then my governance section, and my hire section, and it'll just copy those ideas in to start things off for you. So so that's really useful if you want to assign some instructions to a writer, so you can sit there and say, right, I would like to write, 1,000 words on content strategy management or whatever it is. Please, can you start with these sections and talk about these ideas? So you've kind of given them a prompt without writing it for them. Alternatively, what you can do is give them another prompt as well. So you could cut and paste a bunch of ideas that is kind of
ChatGPT.
Come on to that. So what we've done is we've taken this section here and then kind of given it some sort of wordy explanation. So rather than giving you the plain topics, we've said, right, write an article about content strategy management, start with the title and introduction, and then include in that section content strategy, etc., and then add a section on content strategy, etc. So you've got some written instructions that you could then just copy.
But is it like integrated with ChatGPT?
So what we've done, well, hold on here. So what we've done is how do I paste
Looks that? Like you know what I'm going to ask. Because,
absolutely.
I wanted to ask about editor.
So what we've done, is you can cut and paste those ideas straight into here, or what you can do is in the content plan, we've broken this down into individual sections that you can just copy and paste straight into Google ChatGPT. The idea here is that we've just optimized it so that you can just copy that straight into ChatGPT in sections, and it writes really good, good content that will continue on. So instead of just writing asking ChatGPT to write 1,000 words on content strategy management, it'll say, right, write it on starting with this, and then talk about these ideas, and then talk about these ideas and these ideas. So basically a few cut and pastes, and you get it all in there. You can just copy the whole of the instructions in as one go, but we found that it's much less targeted because Google, I don't know, because ChatGPT kind of likes thinking about each section.
I've noticed.
So it doesn't take too long, and then you just put the stuff back in here, and then you've got your content in here. Now, personally, I'm gonna let's go off of my screen for a second, if you don't mind. I'll just talk to you again, because otherwise I'm just going to look at the screen, and anybody on a podcast is going to say, what the hell's happening there? Stop sharing. There we go.
But this is really like, I just wanted to ask you, how can we use Inlinks with ChatGPT? And the
there
next
it is.
moment you are showing this.
So what we decided when ChatGPT came out, we decided that we weren't going to integrate with an automatic text generating tool, because we think that it's kind of a dangerous thing for an SEO to do. But ChatGPT is so far advanced that it became quite interesting, because there's a couple of other tools. As you say, Surfer is already sort of working with Jasper AI. I think Article Forge has its own, or is it Phrase or Article Forge? They have their own systems, or Article Forge does anyway. So they've already kind of got those systems working. And by doing it this way, we kind of made it very, very easy to use ChatGPT if you want to, but not making it the focus of what we're trying to do. So we're not going to try and compete with Chat API. I think OpenAI, I think that's going to be death. It's going to kill us pretty quick. But I also think by doing it this way, I think it's effectively made it very, very easy for people to use Chat OpenAI on our system. We've added a layer of value by guiding OpenAI into what they should be writing about. So rather than just asking it to write 1,000 words on a topic, we've already done some pre-analysis to say, right, these are the important entities that we need to cover in this conversation, and we need to do it in this kind of order. So this paragraph by this paragraph, to try and get the the focus right. So you're talking about the really important things right at the top, and then you're bringing it down to more interesting stuff. And open chat ChatGPT, does a very good job of taking the sections and relating them to the previous section. So it's an effective way of doing it. So if you want to have your content written well, then we've given you that ability. However, being a white hat SEO kind of guy, we're not going to be using it ourselves. We're still going to write our own content and try and have original concepts and original thought. And that's one of the reasons why we have this Google Suggest idea. So poking out new ideas from Google Suggest helps. But ultimately, I think you can't beat original content for taking on the world. So I think if you have a genuinely new idea or a new product, you should, announce it as such. And I think it's kind of the way that we do it with the whole phrase of entity SEO. Pretty much was, me and a couple of other people were just kind of worked with this as a way of describing what we were doing. But it becomes an approach, a philosophy to SEO. But fortunately, I was early to the phrase, shall we say? So it's a good thing to have. So anyway, so that's how you create the content on the system. The other thing that we're doing, when I showed the content brief, it started with just a blank type your text here.
Yeah.
But you can also audit pages as well. So instead of writing a brief, you can say audit this page, and then it will read your existing content. And so it'll compare the map of entities that we think you should talk about with based on what your competitors are saying, with the entities that are already on your page as well. So it's showing you a score really of well, not really, just a score of how well you're covering the topics that we think you should cover. So instead of starting from scratch, you can just improve the existing content that you've got. And that's kind of useful. You can say, right, you know what, you've kind of got there, but you've missed this really important topic. Like governance was the one that stood out for me for that content management strategy. So you might have forgotten that and might not have known about it, and then you can still be a world expert on it and have forgotten to have covered a particular subject matter topic within there. So it's more designed for people that are writing their content from scratch, I think, but it's trying to give them waypoints to get to. But then ChatGPT just makes it easier if you want to cut the corners, so to speak.
Yeah, especially if I am very often doing those types of analysis when the page is already ranking relatively highly, but something is still missing.
Absolutely. And even if you are ranking well, if you're missing something important for the user, then it should pick that up as well, because and it'll defend your position as well. So if you're already ranking, position 1 to 3 for a big keyword, it doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't be talking about, I don't know, any particular topic, because your competitors are. At the same time, it still needs the SEO to use their brain, because we can come up with topics which are either incorrect or not particularly relevant to the cause. So something that happens quite a lot is, in our industry, the word website or the concept of a website comes up an awful lot, because all of our competitors are talking, if I'm talking about SEO, they're talking about web pages and content a lot. And that's not necessarily something that has to be, mentioned again and again and again just to satisfy.
I've noticed. Yeah.
So we kind of allow you to say, right, the NLP got it wrong there. Just click cross. We don't really care about that. Or another one could be privacy policy, because that can appear on all your competitors' content. So we suddenly think that that's important. So you can say, right, take that out of the algorithm, and then it'll just readjust to cope with that.
So, just like with SEO audit tools, they show pretty different things as mistakes, and human brain is necessary.
Hopefully the brain can go through that. But we never wanted to take away the expertise of an SEO, because I think that what we do want to do, though, is try and help the SEO to understand things in terms of entities, But the problem with human brains is that if we just showed it in terms of, knowledge graph ID equals 46789, then Google might change the ID number, and B, our brains don't work like that. You can't see the web page in a set of numbers, so we have to use keywords to represent concepts. But we need to know that there's an actual entity behind that, which ultimately we use sort of like a Wikipedia URL to help translate that to Google, because we know that Google has understood Wikipedia and uses it and continues to use it as a training set. Wikipedia is also really useful because it's got a human edited, so over time, hopefully, it will improve. That's not necessarily true. It also gets spammed to hell, but it's got some pretty good oversight in there. So it means that if so we now have a new king in the UK. So we don't necessarily have to suddenly change all the information about our monarch based on the fact that because humans will do that for us, and things will adapt over time, and so as the world changes, things will change around it. Maybe not yesterday's news. If there's a tsunami somewhere, then it's going to take a while for that to kind of get in there to become before it's a historical event. By the way, ChatGPT is also only working on data that's from 2021. So I suspect if you put in who's the monarch of the UK, ChatGPT is going to say it's Queen Elizabeth, which is obviously not true. So I think that's kind of most of the things that Inlinks does, really. I think it's
that's a lot.
It's a lot in there, and we're still working really well. I haven't really talked about the internal linking.
So please do.
In the system. Oh, you want me to? Okay, right.
Yeah, I do.
Let me just,
because I'm very into internal linking, and I think I am going to learn new things.
Well, Fred, hang on. You can share my screen again now if you like.
Yeah.
So
I think you have to
Fred
share it.
Okay. I've got that permission to do that. Hold on. Share screen. Okay, so again, I've brought you back to the Inlinks project here, but if I go to the internal links system, so we've got the Schema system and the internal links system. So the internal links system on this particular website, it's created 1,400 internal links on the Inlinks site itself, and so it's got the ability for you to go and analyze what's happened. So the way that we did that was, on the website pages tab, we set targets to the most important pages. So the page on we've got a page here which is our semantic SEO guide, and we've audited. That was the audit button. So 77%, it shows how optimized we think it is. So it could be more optimized, the content on it, but we've said that this is about the concept of semantic web. And so we've got the topic of semantic web and semantic search on this page. So we can these on the right hand side here, we can see all of the different things that are mentioned on this web page. So I can see necktie on here, for example, and I know why that's there. It's because when I wrote that guide 3 or 4 years ago, I said, hey, there's the internet has to change. There's you can't write any more pages on how to tie a bow tie. So it's talking about ties in the concept of necktie and tie, and tie is and so bow tie is a synonym in this case for necktie. But these are the main topics on the page, and we've said, right, this is about this topic, and that has, as a result of that, we've made this page about 3 topics, which is
Okay.
2 years later, I would say that's bad practice, but I did this 2 years ago. So, but we
Uh-huh.
then created 76 links as a result of that, from other web pages on inlinks.net. So, and you can see the anchor text that's been created here. So on the page about semantic optimized content, it's found the anchor text of semantics and their intent of questions, and it's linked that through to the page that's called the Semantic SEO guide. So it's found those relationships,
Uh-huh.
and it's put the content, the links straight into the text. So
Oh.
so here is a copy of the text that's on the page, on the source page, and it's found that it's going to link through to the homepage with the phrase SEO content optimization tool. It's going to link through to the SEO guide with the anchor text, semantics, and the inherent intent to their questions. The copywriting, it's got the word copywriting that's going to link through to a powerful new content SEO content tool. So we've when we
Oh.
launched our content tool, so it's picking out these ideas and it's linking through to the pages that are that we've said are important about those concepts, and they're already linked. But they're hyperlinked straight in because of the JavaScript that we put on the site. So you don't need to manually put those all in.
Yeah,
And
because
then, yeah, sorry.
yeah, I just wanted to say that adding those types of links manually is really very, very painful.
Yeah, and it's even worse if you then say, oh, you know what, we're going to write a new page on this topic.
Yeah.
And then you've got, oh my God, I've got on all those internal links and now you've changed the page. Well, I can 301 those to the new page, I suppose,
But
but then I'm going to lose it. Yeah. Or I could change the focus to the old page. But yeah, so now, but what you can do with our tool is you can say, right, okay, now I'm going to make this page over here about this topic instead of the page over here. And
uh-huh.
that will change all the links back again, and it'll readjust all the
Wow.
links so they go to the new tools, so new topic or new page. So as you change the topics around, it'll update the internal linkings to that page, to the target page. And then here you can in the internal links section, you can actually just edit these kind of links as well. So if you want to, this is if I go to the I'll go to one of the pages. So this page on the evolution of semantic search, then on the page it's linking out to a bunch of pages, so you can from here, if you want, edit those links as well, so you can go and flip them around, and if you don't like the anchor text, you can change it around. That's not wise. We change that to then saying, well, okay, you're not now entity linking, you're keyword linking. So we try not to, but sometimes you just have to. If you've got something that's, we've suddenly inadvertently made something that sounds rude or just doesn't look right, you can modify it from here. But the other thing that we've done now, and this only came out yesterday actually, I don't think we've even blogged about it. We've also built this internal link audit. So within the site now, we've compared the links that we've been creating with the hard-coded links that are already in the content. So if you've done some bad internal linking in the past, this should show up. On this particular example, we do most of our internal linking using JavaScript, so we don't have many hard-coded internal links. But you can see that within the concept of, let's take Google, for example, we can see that we've got a couple of hard-coded links where we've linked the word Google or the concept of Google to a page, but we've got 84 that we created ourselves. So we can then dive down and have a look at the internal links or the hard-coded links and see if we've over optimized or just got exact match linking, for example. So we've got this internal link thing that's just turned up effectively, that just shows you whether our links that we're generating are better distributed and have less duplication than the hard-coded links, if you see what I mean. So that's pretty cool as well. And then the last thing is Schema. And then I'll just shut up because I was probably gone on longer than you
And I
planned.
will ask a
Really,
few questions because I am.
So
My head is exploding.
excellent. That's good. This is what we want, really. Hopefully, in a good way.
Yeah,
So
of course.
so we're here. We can see the schema that we've been generating and modify that as well. So, for example, on this page about how writing FAQs can benefit the SEO of your website, we've written some schema. So, and we've said, hey, Mr. Search Engine or Mrs. Search Engine, this is about a thing called FAQs. And in case you don't know what that is, Search Engine, here's the
Okay.
Wikipedia page on FAQs. It's also about a thing called search engine optimization. Here's a Wikipedia page for that. And it's also about websites, and here's a Wikipedia page for that. So those three ideas, just by telling a search engine that this page is focused on these three ideas, FAQs, search engine optimization, and websites, it's really very much defining the underlying concept of what this page is about. And you can see it in the title, how writing FAQs can benefit the SEO of your website. It's all those three concepts are in the title. It mentions things like search engines and service and service in the context of economics and hyperlinks and web pages and rankings and things. And so it's also put those in as mentions, which signifies to any machine that wants to read it that the main concepts are the ones at the top, but these other ideas are put in there as well. So those 5 data points in themselves should be really helpful for anybody that's got their own knowledge graph, like Google, to identify a sort of a fingerprint of what this web page is really talking about. So, and if something's wrong, one click and you've got rid of it. But basically, if it's right, then it's injected straight into the web page and it's there. But we only put this on the web pages that you set targets for, because they're the only ones that you're really interested in SEO for. If you put them on every single web page of your site of your web page on your site, we think that it actually dilutes the ability for you to highlight the important topics to a search engine. So we kind of want you to just put it on the pages that you think are good for SEO, and leave it off the other ones. And that's because we're an SEO tool.
Yeah.
I've finished talking about it now, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I won't share it again to anybody on the podcast. I really apologize.
It was so nice. So if there is an SEO who knows something about schema but is not very like efficient, proficient, the same with Entity SEO, it looks like they will be able to learn because you have a ton of tutorials. And at the same time,
I would say, though, on the schema that we're generating is only part of the world of schema. There are thousands of different types of schema. So I also use the Yoast plugin, or could use Rank Sense plugin. I use both on different websites. That's absolutely fine. You can use Yoast plugin or Rank Sense plugin to have other things. But because the about and mention schema is not used on most of those plugins, because they haven't got a natural language processing algorithm to understand the underlying concepts on the page, and they certainly then haven't got the ability to relate that back to an entity in Google's knowledge graph using that, Wikipedia as a sort of a bridge, if you like. So that's unique, and so you can use the two hand in hand. One caveat in there is the FAQ schema that we create. There is concern that if you put 2 lots of FAQ schema on a page, Google doesn't like that. They've said that they don't like that. So if you've got another tool that's creating FAQ schema, we have a button. You can switch off all of our FAQ schema now. So any projects created after around about May of this year, you can just switch off our FAQ schema so that it's not going to interact with them. You can also cut off all of our schema as well if you wanted to, so you could just block all that off. But it's obviously quite a valuable thing. So there's a lot more to learn about schema than what we've got at the moment. But it's a great place for SEOs to go, I think. But it shouldn't stop you from creating local schema or whatever, putting those in. And I'm afraid we haven't built that into the tool yet. We might in the future, So.
Okay, so this is, I would say, this type of schema that people are not necessarily sure about how to implement, how to
Yeah.
do it, because those other types, usually rank math, Yoast,
Yeah.
they usually take care of that.
Yeah, they'll take care of the things that are site wide. So usually your site is all about a particular brand, or this is your company name, or this is your, if it's a blogger, then maybe it's this you as an individual, and these are the authors or whatever. So these things that are site wide, like the address of your business and things, that's actually pretty easy to do, and other tools can do it. So let's not reinvent. It's the same as, we're not going to try and compete with OpenAI. We're not going to try and compete with tools that are already doing all those other things. We're trying to do the stuff that's different,
Sure.
and hopefully add a value layer into everything. But I would still use a Yoast to do your standard schema and things.
Hmm.
As well. But what's useful about Inlinks is it's really delving into the content on a page. So it addresses the core algorithm or the core concepts of a page of content. So funnily enough, the about and mention schema is not. It doesn't show in a rich snippet, but it can affect the underlying meaning of a page or
Yeah,
how it's
yeah,
interpreted. So yeah.
sure. And if I want to get started, how do I do it with
Oh,
Inlinks?
in links.com, there's a free account.
Oh,
So you can actually have 20 pages in the system for free. Or that's for interlinking. So that's not really going to cover it for interlinking, but it shows you the system. And also you can do 1 or 2 content briefs in a month for that as well. So you can just use it, but you can't really use it professionally. It is better to get a paid account because it will read. It does a lot better job of using Google's NLP API,
uh-huh.
because that costs us money. So you can't do it on a free account
Yeah,
forever and a day.
sure.
So but the paid account only starts at 36 euros, I think.
Uh-huh.
It's $39 or whatever, those kind of numbers, and that will take you up to 100 pages, and you can run up to 20 audits in a month of that. You probably end up running about 15, I suppose, because you can use credits and things in other ways. But you can that's usually good enough for running I'd say a normal company, like a company that doesn't spend its life building content on the web
Uh-huh.
and stuff. That's a normal small business will be fine on that. And content writers could probably be writing most of the time, because they need to run the reports every day or every couple of days, but they don't necessarily, unless they're running more than 20 reports in a month, then
Uh-huh.
they won't need it, and they won't need to go to the big amounts. Where the large amounts of money comes in is if you're trying to interlink thousands of pages. That's where it goes up. So every extra 100 pages you're trying to interlink, there's an increase in the
Okay.
cost. And so we have got, for anybody out there that's in rich land, if you ever spend $2,000 a month, we'll give you your own CPU and area and stuff, so you can have
Oh,
250,000 pages for that kind of in the system. So that we've got a different pricing structure when you get up to that kind of price, and we send you off to Ash, who's our enterprise business development guy, who goes through all the all that hassle of talking to big companies, which I it's not me. So I'll let
okay.
Ash do that.
Okay, okay. Dixon, thank you so much. Yes, as I said, my
Okay.
head is exploding and I can't wait to start reading the book tonight.
Okay. In that case, I'll send it. I'll send a PDF version through to you. So that's fine. Oh, I should
Yeah.
have said actually.
Yeah.
If anybody does sign up for a free account, one of the very first things they're going to get asked is whether they want to do a one-to-one demo, and we don't really make it obvious. But if you do the demo, then you'll get an offer at the end of the demo as long as it's the first time you've done the demo. And it says if you sign up after this demo, or even if you have signed up with a few days before the demo, then you can get your first month money back. So you can also get a paid account for free
Oh,
for a month to really give a good hammering if you like.
Okay.
So that's in there at the moment. I don't know how long we'll keep that there for, but it's there at the moment. So and then you get to do the one-on-one demo, which is really useful. It won't be with me, but it's good to see it and see how it's used, because it can have a fairly high learning curve. If you
I'm
if
going to I'm
yeah.
going to have the demo soon as
Excellent.
well. So
Excellent. Okay. Well, you'll probably have that with Jeannie or Kareem or one of the other team members.
uh-huh. I'm not
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Real.
Okay, Dixon. So thank you so much.
You're
Do you
very
have
welcome.
some final entity SEO
No,
tips? So
no. If you want to get my book, it's on Amazon. It's called Entity SEO. Final tips. I don't know. Don't blindly
get
jump into the
interested.
tool. Yeah, you got to work on anything that you do. But yeah, I think the underlying approach is a good one of thinking of the world in terms of concepts instead of thinking of the world in terms of keywords.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so thanks again, and thanks everyone, and we'll see each other in the next episode. So bye bye everyone.
Bye.